All right, so for today's Monday Musing, what we're going to talk about is imperfect movement. And this might sound a little contrary to what you would think from PT, but it needs to be okay for movement to be imperfect. Movement cannot be perfect 100% of the time. If it was, we'd all walk around with gold medals because we'd all be so perfect that we were Olympians or something like that. Or maybe there wouldn't even be an Olympics because we were all so perfect all the time. What I'm trying to say is life doesn't happen in these like super rigid movement patterns. Movement is very fluid, especially once you start getting into sport, a dynamic sport. There are certain sports where you can kind of close everything off and it's a singular skill, but most life tasks and movement skills are so dynamic that it needs to be okay for things not to be 100% perfect 100% of the time. Now, that being said, there's definitely what we consider to be ideal movement, but that can exist within a range. And then once we get outside of that range, think about like a bell-shaped curve, right? We want really good movement that falls within a safe, mechanically sound range most of the time. But it does need to be okay once in a while to move outside of that and have things not explode and kind of completely fall apart, right? So, but if we spend most of our time training here, and we can't just train here all the time. Really, we need to kind of train within this range, and then hopefully we can buffer against the movement that's here. And then obviously the things that are like way, way out here, maybe that's something that we're still going to struggle with, but that's kind of where some of these bigger injuries occur. What we want to do is control what we can control, but again, shooting for absolute 100% perfection on every single rep for every single thing just doesn't really set people up for success. So let's just change the narrative a little bit and say like, hey, this is completely acceptable. Is it perfect? Sure, it falls within our really good movement qualification. If we want to get super precise, we can do that, but it's not that every other movement that doesn't match 100% perfect is not good. There needs to be a buffer. There needs to be a range that's still good quality. And then again, life happens sometimes out here on the corners, and that's okay. So don't overthink it too much. We want you to be aware of it. We want to support really good movements and good movement patterns. But remember, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect 100% of the time.